All right. Hey guys, how are you? Hi. Hello. All right. So, hi friends. I'm glad to see so many people are jumping in already. You were just hanging out with Making Stuff and his guest. It was Meadows and Makers. That was a great talk. I jumped in somewhere around mushrooms and I've been listening while I've been getting set up around the room. I've changed the camera a bit because the camera setup that I had, it's the same camera, it's the same source, it's the same streaming scene, and it just broke. Why did it break? I have no idea. So it's fine. I have a new camera. Everything looks mostly okay. I'm kind of in the shot. I don't know. It's a totally different aspect ratio. Everything looks a little different. And you know what? It's fine. If you can accept it, I can accept it. Welcome to Cyberbuzz. So it's Saturday again. How it happened, I don't fucking know, and I'm sure none of you do either. But we're here every Saturday talking a little bit about Hive. We talk about blockchain, disruptive technology. Is it live on YouTube also? You better believe it. Been working out. Have I been working out? Oh God, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm actually getting fatter? And it's very depressing. I have not been working out. My gym is they have a bunch of restrictions in place that make it really difficult to properly work out. So no, I haven't. I'm getting fat and miserable. Krim, show us your muscles. You've seen my muscles. I just bench press my dog live on air. So people are starting to wander in now. We have a bit of a fun, the shirt and the bandana thing. Oh yeah, well I'm channeling my inner Rocky. And by channeling my inner Rocky, I was cleaning and painting this morning. So you just got to get the hair up out of the way. And I'm sure it looks particularly put together, but I assure you it's mostly because I'm lazy and my hair is a disaster. And if I don't put it in a bandana, it goes everywhere and I get covered in paint and dirt and schmutz, and then people think I'm homeless. So, it's just a balancing act. And ever since I've had the camera and I put the camera on with you guys, I have to look human. And that's a whole thing, let me tell you. So today we have a couple different plans. Hey, I see Sim Girls jumped in. Swoop. Hi, everybody. There's a terrible picture of me rocking the muscles. Angelica, FPS slow. I love to call you that. Yes. Hi. Maria, I don't think I've ever seen you in the show before. I'm excited to see you. Solo. Hi. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started. We got a couple different things today, and I'm glad you guys are here. No audio. There is audio. Inertia, don't fake news me, you bastard. And you're going to level up on that. That's the saddest. Can I just coffee shot? No, I can't. I got to drink. All right, hang on. So, no fat. Trust me, guys, I'll regret this, but there's fat. Don't worry. It's all good. So, let's get the shot out of the way early. Let's talk about today's show. We'll let more people get in. But I'm glad that I have who I do here, and we'll get more people because I want to talk a little bit about, obviously, the hard fork. We're going to talk about the hard fork because I've been getting DMs like crazy. People want to know what's going on. They have questions. They have comments. They need to learn a little bit. So, yes, we'll do that. But also, what people want. Extreme. Yeah, I'm gonna take a shot here. Give me a second. I'm stealing myself for that first morning shot. Everybody assumes that because I drink on this show and it's about noon that I must be like a hardcore alcoholic. But I normally drink my bourbon in a nice little tumbler glass with an ice cube, just the one. You swirl it. It doesn't smash you in the face with raw alcohol smell. It's just... It's the way we start the morning. So thank you, Inertia. It was a mostly peaceful shot. Okay. So, yes, we will talk about the hard fork, but one thing we're going to talk about before that, and hi, dude on the web, hello. What we're going to talk about is growing our Hive presence a little bit. We've been talking a lot about marketing the last couple shows. We've been having a lot of fun talking about gifts and whatnot. And, it's funny because the other night I was doing FullForce Radio, which is my other show. It's heavy metal centric, and it's very silly. It gets very fucking silly. And I was looking for a gift towards the end of the show, and the same thing happened. I typed in heavy metal something, and I got a fucking Digibyte blockchain GIF again, and it's a Digibyte blockchain metal, and it had like flames and stuff. And I thought, those bastards! Twice in a week, looking for nothing at all related to blockchain, I found them. So now that the last Hive update has come out, the hard fork date is tentatively set, lots of things going on, what we will be doing is putting that gift challenge out. I'm going to get that post out this week, and I'm going to expect, hopefully, some of you guys to participate. But the reason I bring this up is because Root Draws is hanging out with us. You find him here in the audience. And over the last... the Ned, Jesus. Marky's been having a great time with Ned deepfakes. And so is Inertia. So I expect that's what you're going to see in the Discord all day. But Root Draws is hanging out with us today. And he's been working on getting his presence and his brand and his art built up on a bunch of places, not only on Hive. Now, Hive obviously matters to him for a bunch of reasons, but one of them being, as an artist, a lot of his work is not safe for work. And this is one of those things that Hive excels at, and I'm very glad he found Hive because shadow bans are a real thing. And many of you guys know this, depending on the type of your content. If you talk about crypto in general, there's a good chance you're going to get shadow banned. If you talk about topics that are not super popular on mainstream media, you're probably going to find yourself getting shadow banned. And so there's a lot more, hi Crystal, there's a lot more going on right now for creators than just worrying about being demonetized. There's actually the space where people are starting to kind of hopefully embrace and explore the side of Hive that is, hey, I need a place to put my content. I need a place to build my following that can't be taken away from me. I need a place that has alternate interfaces because I'm finding that I'm getting buried. And what does that look like when paired with everything out there in existence? How do you actively build a following? And it's a big question for a lot of Hivers. So we're going to talk to Root Draws in a couple minutes, and he's going to kind of show us how he's been using some of these other services. And we're going to talk a little bit about opportunities on Hive. So I'm hoping you guys are going to join in that conversation as well, because I know for many of you, you're sick and tired of traditional social media, but also looking at places to find listeners, listeners, readers, people to kind of check out your work. It's the classic struggle for any creator, right? And hello, Eileen. Hello, Eileen. So yeah, today will be fun. We'll do a lot of chatting in the back half of the show. The second half of the show will be a lot to do with the hard fork, because I know there are a lot of questions. A lot of this stuff we've been over, but I know there's more yet. So we have a full show today. We're going to have fun. And I'm kind of hoping to continue going in this direction where we will be talking to more people and hopefully making it a lot more fun for you guys when moon, who the fuck knows? I could tell you when there will be an eclipse. Probably. Hopefully not fully defined yet. HiveMind does have a couple of issues in it that are known. There is the release candidate. The Hive D release candidate is finalized. That's the blockchain. It's looking pretty good. So hopefully no catastrophic bugs there and things will be on track. HiveMind, yeah, probably going to have some fixes implemented this week, but HiveMind is not important for the exchanges. So we're on track, folks. We're on track. Hey, Oz, good to see all of you guys here. So what I was thinking is to start the show, I was going to bodily drag poor Root Draws into the into the live on air room with me, and we kind of open up that conversation. And so people take a second to find us. I think one thing that I will do before we get started is I will set up the Periscope. So if you guys don't mind, I know that Twitter is definitely a huge part of how people find us. And I know many of you are watching on Vim, you're watching on Theta, you're watching on mspwaves.com, you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on Twitch. We have all sorts of places for you to watch. Which is great because that's much more embarrassing for me and fills the chat with terrible, terrible, terrible memes of my face. But it means that lots of people can jump in, and I know that Twitter remains one of those places that people like for whatever goddamn reason. So what we're going to do is quickly get that set up. If you guys can tolerate just waiting for like 2 seconds. We're going to preview this broadcast and we're going to say, talking about Hive marketing with root draws. And then checking out the Jeff 24 news. Okay, cool. So you guys are very tolerant. Thank you. You're amazing. And that is now live on the Twitter twat. So we did our due diligence. We did our dog due diligence, and we can move on. So I'm going to grab Root Draws, and I'm going to drag him in here with me, and we're going to have a little conversation. So hopefully you guys can you can chime in too. Because if it's one thing I've noticed, there's so many of you who are community builders. Like Melinda comes to mind. Melinda does a bunch of contests and a bunch of communities, and she's really driving bringing people together around niches. And eventually, we're going to have to find a way to push that out beyond Hive. We've only got so many people on Hive. And when you're passionate about a type of Scarlet, hello, Scarlet, I like your crown. When you're passionate about bringing people together in certain types of content, once you get all the people in your immediate proximity, you have to go somewhere else. And that's where Hive's at. And we know this and we've talked about it and you guys all know it. But it's time to really start talking about, hey, what's doable for people? I already said hi to you, Scarlet, but I'll say hi again because you probably didn't hear it. Hello, I like your crown. So we'll talk a little bit about what can people do to kind of branch out. What, for somebody like Root Draws, who is discovering traditional social media isn't always super duper on board with helping you out, what stuff we can do to extend our reach and really kind of amp up our presence on Hive? Because it's an important conversation. We're going to make some gifts. That's one of them. All right, Root Draws, I'm going to pick you up now, and things are going to change. The latency is going to change, and you're going to be in a room with me. So let's see what happens. All right, you're in here now. So you're going to talk, and I'm just going to double check if I need to pump your volume up a little bit.
Does this work now?
It does, but I'm going to definitely amp you up. Okay, say hi to everybody.
Hello, I'm just about to share a post with some charts.
Cool. So, hey, Julia, good to see you. Thanks for jumping in. So, for all of you guys who are hopping in now, Root Draws is an artist on Hive. He's currently tokenizing some pages from a Not Safe for Work comic on NFT Showroom and is generally finding that Hive has, somebody's messaging me, is generally finding that Hive is a great place to kind of store a lot of the content that he's trying to show the world, and that some other places are making it a little bit difficult to do. And so he wants to talk a little bit about how do you use Hive effectively to build your brand, build your business? And he's put together, it's so cool. He put together like a whole diagram for us. You're way more prepared than me, man.
Yeah, it's not a big idea when you look at it, and a lot of people have to do it anyways, but I'm visual, and so I like to think of it like a wider space, and my projects are in a wider space, and then each of the little places I interact with has a special thing that can be used for my advantage, and they also interact with each other in ways that are interesting, say for like the value of Hive as a platform, etc.
Yeah. Well, and what I can see is as soon as I open this, because I haven't seen it yet either. So everybody who's looking for the link, Root Draws has just dropped it in chat in the Discord. If you're watching somewhere else, like YouTube or Twitch, it'll come up in the chat screen. I'm hoping you'll be able to get it. For some of you who are listening to audio only, obviously going to be a little trickier. But one of the things that jumps out at me when I look at this is you've got a column for fiat. And, you know, this is that big, bad boogeyman that we have a lot of problems with on the Hive blockchain. I'm sure you've noticed, but everybody does want a way to kind of use and utilize their earnings. And, you know, I'm laughing at this GIF here with Ned again. One of the things that we've discovered is that there's this weird sort of pushback from people who don't want to see conversion into fiat, or don't want to see Hive being sold in great amounts, which that makes sense. We don't want to put sell pressure on Hive, but at the same time, everyone here earning rewards wants to wants to earn from those rewards. And so for you as an artist, I can see you've got a couple different channels here in your diagram. You know, you've got, what's the first one? Is that Patreon? You've got your Patreon, you got Kickstarter, you've got a Shopify. These are things that you're making work. And is this one of those things where if you can kind of pair some of these fiat services to your Hive content, you can stack your Hive and also try and build up your earnings? Like, maybe walk us through sort of how your setup is right now.
Yeah, that's the ideal way to do it. And I like to be honest with myself about my financial motivations. I'm in cryptocurrency, at least in part, to take profit and, you know, make my life better. But there's a problem there, and that problem is in the hype bubble extraction is not sustainable for the whole system, right? And also once you're inside of a community like Hive, if the game is to get all of your money out before the other people, then it's sort of like that's not a fun game necessarily for the people that you're playing with, right?
That is the truth. And I think, you know, my gosh, you said something there, you guys, I'm sure people in chat might have some opinions on this. Being honest about your financial motivations. This is something so tricky in crypto, and I don't know that anybody's truthfully figured it out, because often if you are actually honest, if you're actually honest and say, hey man, I need to eat, I gotta earn some money, people are like, fuck you, you're milking, you're the worst. And there's this crazy pushback. And the same thing, if you're collecting up, earning, busting your ass, getting those rewards, and then you finally do sell, everyone in the ecosystem goes, oh my God, they're selling, they're killing the price for the rest of us, those bastards, they're weak hands. So I can see how, you know, coming to the table with that in mind, how do I benefit from the ecosystem and be a benefit to the ecosystem and still kind of use this ecosystem to pump up my fiat ventures? How do I get the best of all of these worlds?
Yeah, and I think this is the crazy puzzle. And I don't think that it's about pumping up fiat. I think I would think zoom out. My idea is based on this 1,000 true fans concept. And a true fan is someone who cares enough to give you money to support your business, which would be either a creative or a curation-based thing. So your money and your business is bigger than Hive. It's about the projects that you create and the people that you share those projects with. And the places that you find and share those projects, I've found, need to be places where people are comfortable giving you money, or places that you can monetize your work, because otherwise you're subject to burnout.
Wow. This is, yeah, you know what? This is probably going to hit home for a lot of people in the chat right now and who are watching on all the different sort of media out there. It's a really good point. And it's something that I think the culture around the blockchain is tricky, because you specifically mentioned, hey, one of the reasons that I'm here and one of the reasons that Hive does really well is that people come together and they're friends and they're a tight-knit community. But there is an inherent need to create an audience and to find people who are your fans. You don't want to push your work on somebody who doesn't like it. And if somebody doesn't like it, they're not the ones that you're going to ask to say, hey, do you want to buy it? And so where's that middle ground, especially when our blockchain has this fascinating and terrible rewards aspect that has you start off making friends and hoping that leads to rewards, and sort of that really convoluted interplay of like friendships. I see so many people in this room right now that I'm looking at that I think, oh my gosh, I've known you for 4 years now, and maybe we've never met, but I consider you a good friend. And then it becomes, well, is it okay to ask you for money because it comes out of a rewards pool? And we know that's a really ugly, scary, difficult topic to broach in our system. It's a surefire way to start a fight. So I think it's really interesting that you're saying, hey, have all of these tools in place to accept funding, not because fiat is what we necessarily want or what we're all trying to drive here, but have ways for people who gather in a place like Hive, if they love your stuff, to give you funds, no matter what they may be, and to go to audiences that already exist. I mean, that's what communities are all about. And I mean, I'm wondering, have you found that you've either built or discovered a community here that's been more successful than, say, trying to get your work shown on some traditional social media?
Yeah, so
It's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is. I think that I think this is my fantasy for what I think would be useful for Hive. Hive has it's a cryptocurrency platform with a bunch of anarchists on it. So you've got this like self-possessed, self-motivated, experimental attitude mixed with a desire to share their creative things or their lifestyle decisions or their curate their interests via curation. And the cryptocurrency economy itself is designed for collaboration regardless of borders. So Ethereum, I can have a graphic novel collaboration with people in other countries without creating an LLC or a joint bank account. We can just like use a multi-sig address, and it's designed to do that. Like, this is super rare. It doesn't exist in the fiat economies because fiat economies don't have that access to trustless economic structures as well.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And
no, it's a great point. I mean, that's something that probably we all talk about. Like, we use these buzzwords a lot where we say, hey, fast, feeless, nobody can get between it. If I want to send root draws some money, none of you fuckers can stop me. And that matters. So many people are like, that's why we love it. That's the potential. Hive is so important. Look at all these people who can. Yeah, that's it. That's the experiment. I can't do the voice very well, Inertia. But it's fascinating knowing that we can, and we do see it in the ecosystem. Tipping is making a comeback. We tried to start getting tipping going on the previous iteration, and it kind of died out. But in general, if you need to collaborate, pay out with somebody else, lend them something, there's the trustless aspect of sending, maybe not in terms of like, say, a loan where collateral or a setup comes back to you on Hive, but the ability to connect monetarily without interference. For people who, as you say, are very independent and who have a real desire to say, no, I'm in control of this. And what I want to do is make a comic with root draws, send some money to Scarlet, make sure that I send a memo to Shane's account to let him know that he's getting all of the blame forever in perpetuity. Whatever the case may be, no one can stop you from doing that. But have we found a perfect way yet? Well, I don't know that we're using these sorts of the platform the best way we can. There's a sad face in chat. I knew it would come. I don't know if we're using it, hey, Tori, the best way that we can. And so I think it's so smart for what you're suggesting to people is that, hey, Hive is a headquarters for you to disseminate information. It's a headquarters for you to have a wallet that anyone in the world can use to access, being able to transact with you. And then, of course, I'm going to pile on all the other stuff that works because crypto's opened all these borders and I've met a bunch of people I wouldn't have. But now I can also it's going to pump up my sort of efforts in some of these existing arenas, like your Patreon or like your, Kickstarter or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I think I would disagree with you on this point because people who have ETH and Hive
Mhm.
culturally, they seem not interested in becoming my patron or joining on my Kickstarters. And I don't think that I should be encouraging them to do that. I think that they're different spheres of people with different economic leanings, which is why I'm making my graphic novel available in print form as a sort of bonus incentive for purchasing the NFT on NFT Showroom.
Which is a
Like,
very cool idea, and I think we should talk about that. Yeah, you're right. You're disagreeing with me in the way that I put it, but I'm actually definitely in agreement with what you're saying as you clarify it. I mean more like, because you're right, people who have crypto and who certainly are already interacting with you with Hive or with ETH, yeah, they don't want to go back to Kickstarter. Fuck that. Like, what the hell? But
right,
more
I
what I
have
meant,
Hive.
yeah, exactly. Why would I want to go back to that? You're right. You're totally right. But what I sort of meant is that Hive and the front ends that exist with Hive, these crazy giant fire hoses of content, and the ability to tap into that content from all over the place. Hey, Snook! Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. The ability to tap into that content. When I say sort of you're bringing it to Hive to put it in front of people's eyes, it's not necessarily only people who have Hive as a currency, but in that the Hive platform and all of the front ends that tap into it, and the fact that your content is here immutably means that there will always be an opportunity for more eyes. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The idea here is not to take people who are already interacting with you with cryptocurrency and say, hey, go back to the fiat way. But it certainly is, not only do you have that ability to transact in crypto, you've also now got a blockchain that stores an incredible amount of data that has a myriad of access points. And for each of these access points, as they grow, potential audiences that come with it who may be coming from the normie zone or who may even be coming cross crypto, right? We're starting to learn that people are
Absolutely.
selling ETH for Hive and discovering all of the possibilities. So yeah, that's it's a fascinating interplay for sure.
I think that the possibilities of ETH to Hive and also fiat to Hive are strong, and I think that the reason that's a possibility is because Hive has if I have stake and then I have an audience and I give my audience a legitimate reason to engage with me, I can incentivize their participation with little bits of Hive instead of hearts. And one of the big problems is comments on Patreon and Kickstarter and polls on Patreon and Kickstarter. It's sort of like, I feel like, Kyle was going to do this thing anyways. I'm kind of into it. I guess I'll do something. Here's a heart. Here's a little tiny comment. Here's an idea. The more ostentatious people are like, yeah, this thing, do this.
Yep.
But most of it's not a everybody thing.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that was to some degree, I think one of the things that blew most people's mind when they first got to Hive was, oh my gosh, like when I like somebody, I'm actually showing, like I can pick and choose a value to associate with that. And you're right. There is an incentive, there's a gamification, and certainly in a world where we've spent so much time with these stupid little hearts on everything, hearts on Twitter, hearts on Instagram, useless fucking hearts. It's really nice to see Hive is home. Yeah. And a home base connected to all of the places that you work is a good thing too. And so I think that is something that, and I do want to come back around to the tokenization and the gamification of your tokenization that you're doing, because that matters. Oh God, Marky's right. It's hearts on Peak D, isn't it? Shit, that might.
Even if it's hearts, it's like you don't even get a lot of money. Even if you get like a whale, like yes, I am approved by the whale. You're only getting half of that, and then even then, it's like it's not really liquid. It's not like you can like go take it to the store and get a candy or something.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the fact that it's like, oh, somebody cared, and it's like touches you in a real way that can actually benefit your life with resources.
Yeah. Oh God, that is a perfect sentence right there. That little encapsulated sentence. I'm going to snip it later and steal it because it's the truth. That's really what it comes down to. It's not even the fact that somebody is paying you a specific amount. It's just that they did, right? And so, I mean, we've seen this crazy development of, some people are, Marky's always bored. Don't worry, Scarlett. The chat in here tends to kind of go a little wonky sometimes. So join in, drop some gifts, have some fun. I like to think that people are listening. I know people are listening, but the chat does get sassy. Just wait, Scarlett. Just wait. They'll be dicks soon enough. But so coming back around to the NFT thing, because for a lot of people, this is brand spanking new. You, as an artist and as someone who's always kind of lived and worked creatively, just like Julia, just like some other people that I'm seeing in the chat here, have kind of been exposed to the struggle of, getting value for your work. And does that value line up with the effort and the love and the happiness that goes along with the creation? And arguably, I don't know that any artist ever gets paid what they think they deserve, but the NFT space is one that's pretty crazy. It's brand new to Hive, and it's something that I think is confusing enough that for people that want to do it, they're going to jump right in and they're so excited. But for people who don't super get it, the thought of incentivizing it or making it a little bit more about back and forth engagement is really intelligent. So the idea that the NFT is one piece of it, the crypto and blockchain aspect of it is one piece, but then you're also looking at, here's the PDF, here's a print, here are the other ways that you and I are going to engage around my art. That's really cool. You're the first person to kind of bring that up around the showroom, and we're starting to see some experimenting with it, but I kind of want to get you to like pimp that a little bit and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I actually had a cool idea that was related to your show that I could use as an example.
Okay.
For this. Yeah,
let's do it. I'm a shitty marketer, so let's hear somebody who's slightly more successful.
So we could talk like metal or synthwave, either one. You have artists that are the artists are the center of the sphere, and then the sphere that surrounds them is their social bubble or audience of people who care about what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And the artist wants to get money so that they can keep making projects for the people who want to give them more money.
I'm with you.
Okay, so there's like Bong Ripper, Hail Satan, Worship Doom, right?
Yep.
And then and then they've got their sphere of like not fucking like dark-minded nihilist stoners or whatever.
You'd be surprised at who listens to like satanic doom metal. It's pretty funny because if you just put it on in the background, you're like, yeah, this is fucking chill. I could smoke a blunt to this, and then you see the nice like blue collar people that are listening to it. It's not what you always expect. But yeah, here, okay, so how do you find whoever it is?
Yeah, so if you wanted to get Bong Ripper to go on to FullForce Radio, you could say, I have this radio show, would you like to come on? And the incentive that you're giving them is audience exposure, which is admittedly not going to be the same thing as like Doom FM, the largest metal thing in Los Angeles or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's okay because that's not what you're offering. What you can offer with the Hive blockchain is your next album, Bong Ripper, in this example, please like put here's NFT showroom, here's Hive, here's the accounts. The people that are on Hive, they may be interested in your things, but you also have people. You can have your people in your sphere come onto Hive. You can reward their engagement with upvotes. You can sell one-of-ones recording music videos in NFT showroom. and that will give you more audience members from the natives on Hive, in addition to if you would like to adopt it for your own creative sphere. And we also have this cool radio show where we will promote it for this thing. And so you have this like sort of multi-pronged attack, which also says like, by the way, here's an introduction to crypto art, and here's how you can monetize this platform, and here's how it might be useful for your business. And by the way, here's a radio. And none of the other radio stations have that.
This is a very good point. And you're right. The example, yes, everybody's very super aesthetic, FullForce Radio, NFTs. But, FullForce Radio is just an example. And this is something that really comes back to, we had Snook and we lost Snook. So this is what it comes back to, is an individual being able to use the whole ecosystem to market. And I don't think enough of us are doing that, because that's the crux of it, isn't it? Is how do we, as tiny little creators in this big old world, as a tiny little content creators who are building a broadcasting network from the ground up, who are building a crypto art portfolio from the ground up, who are building, being known for their, TA or whatever the case may be. You as an individual on Hive, you have the whole sort of Hive ecosystem and you know them, but how do you grow it beyond? And you're right, you would be going to the people you normally used to chase, but you didn't have clout. You didn't have enough to, as a cult instead of a broadcasting network. Yeah, you're not wrong, Cly. You didn't have a clout, you didn't have anything to offer, and that's always been a struggle for Hive, and it's a struggle beyond Hive as well. When you're a small content creator, when you're a small anything, trying to get the eyes or the resources or the help or even just the collaboration with somebody bigger than you or used to sort of different resources than you, how do you offer something new and something different? And you're absolutely right. Hive is kind of this leveling factor right now. Is here's an ecosystem that gives you a bunch of tools that nobody else has. And you can use those for yourself, and you can use them to go out and build your networks, but not just on the platform. And that's a pretty wild idea for us to wrap our heads around, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think this is where the conversation goes into the fiat platforms, specifically Kickstarter.
Right. So when you're saying, all right, here we are, you'd come on FullForce Radio, now you can make a community, you can offer NFTs to the crowd, maybe you'll get a couple tokens, like the election game is so fun. We'll talk about that later. Here's some tokens. If you get enough tokens because you've listened to enough tracks or you've written enough reviews about our music or you've shown up to enough shows, then you could trade it in for a t-shirt or, so then what's the next step? Where do you go to connect Kickstarter to that?
There is a deficit problem in Hive, which has to do with money. People want to monetize their passions. Yep. And they need whale upvotes to make that happen, but there are not enough whale upvotes to go around. And then even if they are, they take that money off of the table. That increases sell pressure on Hive, which causes the price to not go into this like super magical moon wonderland that people are all looking for. And this is why we need to participate in fiat platforms, because the sell pressure goes down because we have actual bills that we need to pay in our lives. And that money, those resources need to come from somewhere beyond Hive. Yeah. Even though Hive is awesome, you need to have other things as a larger business structure. And Kickstarter is like the perfect training ground for experimental creative projects that I've found.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Revised Sociology is saying, hey, didn't you kind of explain this in your latest post? He sure did. He sure did. And that's actually that was specifically made. He was ripping this together before the show so he could continue to kind of point to that as we're talking together. So if you haven't looked at the post yet and you want to kind of check it out, it's not just here that we're talking about it. He's actually made you a diagram. And I think, holy Hannah Banana, is this a topic that we often kind of broach very coyly about, well, whale upvotes aren't sustainable. And the whole platform isn't whale upvotes. And you're right, it's not. And we've done a little bit of an okay job starting to shift the culture of recognizing that we can use Hive, we can use the reward pool, we can use communities, we can use tools, games, whatever, and also inherently understand that the entire economy cannot just be the reward pool. But that conversation isn't widespread enough yet. And Enjar is saying, hey, far too many focus on just the reward pool. I've had weeks where I've made more off referral links than I did that week from posts. And it's the truth. I mean, we know this is a crappy reality, but you can't really count on a job that isn't a job to sustain you at a level of a job where you're contractually guaranteed to get a salary. At the end of the day, the blockchain exists as a tool that you use. But there's this blockchain, this community, this reward pool, this structure, this database, this network owes you sweet fuck all. And it's hard, having experienced it in early days, to step back and kind of realize, hey, what I got was amazing, but that's not the full reality. And so it is really important that we start saying, hey. No. We can do crypto, and we can ride fiat, and we can build sustainable networks on engagement that use all these tools intelligently. Hey, Clayboyne, thanks for joining us. So I think this is really, I think this is so smart. I think it's a conversation that has to happen. I love that you wrote it all out and explained it. So I'm hoping everybody that's here can maybe go pop over there and maybe share this little diagram around, because it's awesome. But at the same time, so, the Kickstarter aspect, I don't have anything that I would do that I would see Kickstarter being viable for me right now. I don't produce something that I would say fits with Kickstarter, but there's a good chance that anybody who's trying, hey, Saifu, hi on Theta. Glad to see you. Most people don't say hi from Theta, so that's exciting. But the reason that I want to ask this is you're saying, hey, I've discovered that Kickstarter is great for people who are creative and experimental. And you know what? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But maybe it's exposure, or maybe it's it gives you an opportunity to try it, experiment with what's something that does incentivize people, what's something that works, what's something that doesn't. And so with Kickstarter, do you find that that's only for, say, tangible artistic goods? Or do you think that could be for almost any type of person who's trying to find sort of alternative ways to fund what they want to see become their business?
Kickstarter is a mad scientist lab for creative people who are trying to crowdfund stuff. And I've seen, like, in the permaculture community, there's this guy named Paul Wheaton, who just does a bunch of videos about building cool shit on his land that has to do with permaculture things, like I don't know, rocket stoves and like whatever else. And he just built a greenhouse on his land in Montana, and he documented the process of his recordings and gave instructional like insight into how he did what he did. And something like, I'm gonna guess, you can check me on it, like $80,000 worth of like people backed this thing for him, and nobody had ever done that on Kickstarter previously. Like he's like he basically built a greenhouse in his backyard and got Kickstarter to pay for it by being an exhibitionist.
That's wild. And now, if there's something that fits with what people have been doing on Hive, that's surely it. That's wild. So yeah, so revised sociology is familiar. I'm sure Making Stuff probably is as well. The permaculture community here on Hive, and not just permaculture, but makers or sustainability or, you know, the tinkerers and DIY sort of group here is pretty wild. There tends to be some overlap, obviously, with these sorts of values and self-sovereignty through cryptocurrency. Oh, he's not regarded too well on here. Oop, I talked out my ass too early. But here's revised sociology saying, well, actually, I have a friend who built an eco cabin and was funded with Kickstarter, and he got the money and he built it. So you're right. Clearly, this is something that either we don't all have a good mind about, or we don't think as a possibility, or we're too tribalist into the idea of, I only am going to use cryptocurrency because cryptocurrency values are all that matter to me. And at the same time, I don't want your dirty, filthy fiat. And there's truth to both sides of that, for sure. But the reality is right now, and you nailed it on the head, it's one thing that the Hive ecosystem could and should have more of is an influx of money coming in. But at the end of the day, even though we do, let's just say for a second, that we do really nail down what our investors' pitch is, because we can and we should and we probably have. But of course, crypto investors are a different sort. They're not always looking for what you logically expect them to look for. So let's just put those investors aside for a second, because the money's not flowing in. They're not hucking investment money at us, probably because we've got a pretty stable chart. But money can still come into the ecosystem in different ways. And it doesn't necessarily have to only come in from, you know, people buying and powering up Hive. If it starts coming into the ecosystem through some of these platforms like, well, I'm going to raise money on Kickstarter, or you can send me Hive. And what you'll find is I'm going to create a set of NFTs that some of you are going to get depending on your Kickstarter tier, and that some of you will be given access to my full online, you know, if we hit a certain amount, I'm going to put all of my stuff into an immutable blockchain where you will have access to some of my best work or my plans or my popular whatever. There are so many ways to tie them together that aren't by Hive with fiat. And I think it's fascinating because not a lot of people are thinking like this. And I think that this will probably be really valuable for some of the people right now who feel like they're just struggling to connect it all. You can love Hive. You can love the people on Hive. You can spend every day on Hive and be passionate about it, and also recognize that you can't put food on your table. And it's like, figure that shit. Oh, okay, have a dislike. Okay, bye. Oh my goodness. So fair enough. Anyways, hi to Mind Trap. We just got somebody called Tooth Number 13 who says the stream is trash. So make sure to go check his out. He gave me a fat dislike. Back to the kitchen with me. But given that I'm not in the kitchen right now, and we've still got an hour show left to go, I want to continue along. So Kickstarter is the mad scientist kitchen, and, you know, it's a great way to monetize and all of that aspect. So there's two other things that you got on your diagram. So let's kind of hit them quickly before we come to the top of the hour. You got Patreon. Now, I don't know shit about Patreon, but I do know that a lot of people, subscribe to my channel, guys. And sorry, 1 second before we continue on, I have to ask you guys a big favor. If you do have a YouTube channel or you do have a Twitch channel, and you have a user there, please subscribe to mine if you could. Let's don't nuke his account. I mean, he probably needs all the streams he can get. But if you do have accounts at some of those other shittier platforms, do try and consider giving a follow to this show just so we can bump it up a little bit. And we'll talk more about that. But so one you mentioned is Patreon. Now, Patreon, let me kind of put it here for a second. You're a real gamer, Red Dead Prevention. Oh, well, it's not called Red Dead Prevention, so there's that. And I stream a lot of gaming as well. I play. Later, if you want to hang around, Tooth Number, I'll play some Modern Warfare with you if you like. Red Dead Prevention is probably because nobody actually wants you to play because you're an absolute moron, right? They're preventing you from playing? But I'm sure you're a cool guy. So don't worry about it. We'll play something later. Leave me a message and we'll have some fun. Okay, Tooth Number? But I got to talk to Root Draws. He's cool and you're not. So let's talk a bit about Patreon, because Patreon, I don't have any experience with. Patreon, I love it and I hate it, because I know a lot of creators that use it, and a bunch of creators that I like that use it have been demonetized. So I don't know what Patreon can do for you, and my opinion of them is not the greatest. So maybe tell me a little bit about your experience, because you do not safe for work art. How has Patreon kind of fit into this machine that you're building?
Right. So I think I want to draw another distinction point between Kickstarter and Patreon.
Yep.
Kickstarter has a community of people that exist on it within, like, it's like a little ocean inside of itself that has its own sort of whales and they're all just looking for cool projects to endorse. Like that's part of Kickstarter's internal value.
I never really thought about that.
Yeah, if you just
every ecosystem has them.
Yeah, if you just launch an experimental project on Kickstarter, like they even designed a thing called Quick Starter, because a lot of people have this sort of fear and apprehension of like trying a new thing, and it's kind of intimidating, and I'm putting myself on the line, and what if nobody likes me, etc. Right?
Ugh, I know those feels.
Awful, but you have to do it anyways.
Yep.
And the idea is that Quick Starter is like, hey, we know this is difficult. Try a little thing for low stakes that you've never tried before, and like see how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems likely that even if your goals are really small, you'll get something like, I don't know, 40 to 50% of the actual people who support your work. They've got pie charts and whatnot for like showing you where your stuff is. And like you should be on the places where your people hang out,
mm-hmm.
trying to find them and encourage them to go to your Kickstarter if they are into USD contributions, right?
Yeah.
But there's internal. My point is like the Alice slays the Jabberwock thing. It's like 50%, 40% of the people came from, let's say, Kickstarter itself. Plus, mm-hmm. I've done a bunch of other campaigns on Kickstarter, like 20 of them, just these small experiments, and they accumulate followers over time that Kickstarter automates a message to them and says, hey, the person that you supported last time that did a good job on that project that you liked, they've got another project going on right now. Like they do marketing on your behalf.
This sounds like something that probably more hivers should know about. I'm not going to lie.
Absolutely.
And I have to say, A, I didn't say hi to Mindtrap, so hi. And B, I have to give you props. I've never been trolled live by somebody rating a stream before. So obviously the juju is here. You're bringing people in. Not bad juju, just, well done. Like you're truly bringing more people already. That's impressive.
Yeah.
So, okay. So there's Patreon, there's Kickstarter, there's Hive. And then the last thing that you have on your diagram of fun is Shopify. Now this, yes, disruptive technology, Eileen. Disruptive on every level, right? It's going
to get even worse now.
It's true, because everybody's moving to the video platforms because the bot is a disaster. So we'll give people a chance to kind of filter over. We got Twitch, we got Theta, we got Hive, we have Vim TV, we've got mspwaves.com, we've got YouTube. Everybody will catch up. We'll give them a second to scramble. Everybody's freaking out. But yeah, so Shopify, obviously this is one of those things that is tricky, because I know people want to accept both Fiat and Hive. I believe there are some hacked Shopify widgets out there where you could do one or the other, and add crypto to it. Do you have something like that set up?
No, but I'm going to for my graphic novel. Coinbase Commerce allows you to accept Ethereum through Shopify.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about Hive, but I'm not too concerned about it since I'm doing a separate thing on Hive.
Well, yeah, you've actually got A, your blog, B, tips, C, NFT showroom. So you already have some tools with Hive. Now, hold on, Tory Blog. I will say that's the Twitch I'm trying to get everybody to. The problem is, does he need an artist for his graphic novel? No, Cly, you need to check out his work. You're going to love it. He is the artist. He is a artist. He is the artist. And we will drop probably some links in chat in a little bit. Just remember, there will be vajujus. So, hey, his dudeness. Thank you for joining me. So one last thing that I have to explain. Here's the deal. Everyone who has a Twitch account, I am streaming on She Is Crimson Clad. The problem is, I'm a fucking idiot and I camped my own name. And the only reason I'm streaming on She Is Crimson Clad is because I didn't realize I already took Crimson Clad. So as of next week, I'm going to be streaming to the main account, which is Crimson Clad. And I'm going to delete She Is Crimson Clad. So if you have a Twitch account, please, for the love of God, help me build up the one that I didn't realize that I made like an idiot. But we'll talk about that later because that's self-shilling and we're talking about what Rudras is doing right now. Oh, I played myself, Rudras. I played myself.
It happens.
It does. Okay, so you've got this multi-pronged attack. You've got this cool thing happening on NFT Showroom. Now, not everybody knows about NFT Showroom yet. Lots of people in this audience do because I never shut up about it. And we're going to do the just Crimson Clad one is where I'll be streaming from now on. We're going to do a show on it next week. But like I said, you're one of the first ones who has kind of figured out I can do more with NFTs than just sell NFTs. I can find ways to match these things up that are fun and engaging and exciting. So maybe kind of go over the Alice project with everybody here because I think it's kind of cool and will hopefully get people's minds and the hamsters in the wheel waking up and running again because it's a really fascinating look at maybe new ways to use brand new tools, right?
Yeah. So I think first off, Christy Glass is doing cool things like with NFTs for audience engagement. And then I just saw this thing that really kind of blew me away. It's
the fish, right?
The fish. I was so fucking excited.
It's so cute.
It was ridiculous. I was like, this lady she's creating a game without code. You just using customer service and little pixel art and NFT showroom. Like, that's so cool.
I know. It's awesome. Okay, so for people listening, here's the deal. We got 3 different takes on things. So Rudras is pairing his NFTs with PDFs and prints. That's one aspect here of a comic, which is amazing. The second take on it is Christy Glass. Now, Christy Glass is tokenizing a big series of sketches of dragon heads. And as she makes posts on the blockchain, she's actually giving out NFTs. So not just giving out updates. Hey, Kodaks! Oh, that's exciting. So she's actually giving out these dragon heads and people are collecting dragon heads for hanging out with her. And they're so cute and they're pretty and they're fun. And then the fish thing that Root Draws is talking about is that new girl has been drawing some really fun and racy art on NFT Showroom, kind of similar niche to Root Draws. But she's actually now picked up some pixel art stuff. And one of the cool things that she's been doing is she created almost like Kodaks has been listening on Vim for an hour. Yay! What she's created is a little Tamagotchi NFT kind of idea. Yeah. And I think you bought it, right, Root Draws?
Well, yeah, because I'm so thrilled that people are doing creative things because what good is an NFT if it's you got the resale option and then you've got games if you know how to code, but beyond that, what are the cool things that you can do? And it's exciting to me that people are experimenting and using the Hive NFT showroom as a way to figure out what, because that's type of information is going to go over to Ethereum it's gonna, I mean, it's gonna lead to collaborations if
Totally.
that new girl can find a person to actually code a little Tamagotchi thing, like, for her like,
To display the NFTs. Oh my God.
it's cool, man.
So here's the deal. She created a little fishy at the Pixel Pet Store. Codex had to log in specifically about this. Codex, next week I'm going to be doing an NFT show again. But we'll talk more about it. Julia will hook you up with a FAQ guide. You can learn on the fly while we're talking. So here's the goldfish. Check it out in the Discord. Rootjaws bought this. It's adorable. It's an NFT. The art, people can collect. We've talked a lot about, why do you buy an NFT? Is it speculative? Is it because you're a collector? Is it part of supporting the artist? And there's a lot of reason that people are really interested in NFTs. But for some people, it's like, well, I know, but everyone can look at the art. So what else have you got? Like, what else? So in this case, Rootdraws bought this little fishy, this little pixel fishy. And the deal is she's going to be producing fish food art. And if you get the fish food art and you combine it with the goldfish art, the goldfish evolves. And it sounds like she'll actually be then gifting you, not selling, but gifting you an evolution of the NFT that you've already got, right?
There's so many possibilities. Like she says this in her description, it's like, this goldfish is rare because it gives you a wish. What kind of wish could it possibly be? Like, it could be that I want some like lewd commission art. It could be that I want I don't know. It could be a lot of different things. It could be just a design for an evolved goldfish. It could be a specially designed goldfish that I am gifted, or it could be that I have limited access to the ability to purchase. And then you have the game in that sort of situation is like, how do you not burn me out of participating in your game while still extracting value as an artist, and in a way that is sort of more compelling than just here's this cool thing of art that I have, you can buy it.
Yeah. Oh, it's the truth. It's so cool. And yeah, so that's even better. So now you've got the idea of, here's NFT showroom. Here are these NFTs built on top of Hive. They're fast. They're feeless. Anybody can access them. And now you're building almost another layer on top of the second layer in that, yeah, Julia's saying, I was thinking about sending, an additional piece of art in encrypted memos inside some of these transactions and things like that. So there's wild possibilities with this. But I have to say, yeah, I agree with you. It's an exciting idea of, if it's a wish, what is it? There's a terrible Family Guy episode where they lure a bunch of people because you could choose the boat or you could choose the box. And he looks at the box and he goes, oh, but there could be a boat in the box.
Yeah.
and it's like that, the idea of, a wish. You could get a wish. You could get an evolution. You don't know. And there's that mystery. There's that aspect. There's that engagement. It could be a boat. You don't even know. It's a really fun idea. And when it comes back to it, one thing that we've learned time and time and time again is that first sort of dive into gamification for everything. Facebook started there, Twitter started there. A lot of these sort of big behemoth powerhouse engagement media started with, how do we make this fun for people? What do we do? How do we get them? Ugh. And the difference is they've been the ones extracting value. And you specifically mentioned this, and it's the truth. How do you balance on extracting value from them in a way that they're happy to provide value and vice versa? Here, it's not the platform. It's the owner. It's the creator. Hive enables that peer-to-peer aspect. And that's wild. And I'm just quickly going to answer. Codex is asking, is it running on Hive Engine? Yes, the NFTs are running on Hive Engine. I am hoping, and we've been pushing for potentially validator nodes in the future. Codex, I would go check out, Agro just put out a post on Visions for Second Layer. Certainly with NFT Showroom and some of the things that we're building as part of that team, decentralization and kind of being able to back up a lot of this and create validators is really important to me. So I'm going to be continually pushing for that as well. So I would highly recommend, to not get too derailed right now, Kodaks, check out Ag's post, because I think it'll probably kind of catch you up really well on some of the possibilities and also potential futures for Hive Engine and what our sort of infrastructure long-term goals are. Now, with that being said, so yeah, coming back to that extraction of value, that's the big difference, isn't it? That's been the problem up till now, is it's always been Facebook extracting the value. It's always been Twitter extracting the value. And all of a sudden, now you are. And it falls on your own shoulders, but it's also, how exciting is that as a creator yourself?
Yeah, I think I want to get into projects, not posts or something like that. Value is hard to provide. You have to it's not easy. It's not easy to find who to give it to. It's not easy to find what it is you want to give to them. And that's where using something like NFT Showroom with these NFTs and this small little design, that's a project. That's the pet store that is being created right there. That's a project. And it can scale, it can become a larger thing, like it could become a full game if she wanted to take it that far. Or it could just be an interesting economic experiment within NFT Showroom. But it's different than just a post of a fish pixel art. Because I don't care about a post of a fish pixel art. What gets me is that now I have a fish and I need to give it some food, and I can get maybe a cool commission, and it tickles me that people are doing that, and that creates value. And so a project is more important. And so two things that I would say that I tried to use for projects is Kickstarter allows me to make a small comic with a small story about with a particular flavor. And then to try to find people who like comics, who like stories, who like erotic art, who like a particular flavor, and then to try to find a value match monetizing for them, and then to execute the project and fulfill my promises to them, and then say, thank you very much, here's what I'm doing next. And that's a project cycle.
Gosh, you have so much knowledge into this. I'm really enjoying our chat today, because I think a lot of us either have the hustle mind of things, or we have the creative mind of things. Not so many of us in today's day and age possess both. And it's not because it's not possible. It's just because, honestly, we don't think about it a lot of the time. And, here's a platform that's kind of forcing us to think about it. Like, hey, you want to earn? Upvotes aren't going to do it. So what else you got? How else are you going to make this work? What does hustle look like in this, grand experiment?
Yeah. The other thing that's important is also that my ideas, they're not always that great. I don't always like things that I think are cool. Many people are not going to think they're that cool. And so the question is how do you find out which ideas are useful, and how do you find out which ideas are total failures? I tried to make a graphic novel a year ago. I had a whole system planned out for how I was going to do multiple Kickstarter campaigns, and I was going to get people to model naked for me.
Oh, and you didn't get interest?
I didn't get any interest because my target audience was probably men who are interested in looking at women, right? And women who are not going to be it takes an exhibitionist, and if you're already an exhibitionist, you're not going to be I guess I'll just model for you in this. It's awkward. People have an awkwardness right there that I did not anticipate, and my entire campaign for that month, a year ago, in the middle of this graphic novel I was doing, it tanked, and then I fucked up my entire budget for that entire thing. The project to this date has not been made because the money that I needed at that time from that project was a miscalculation on what I felt people would be willing to buy,
Yeah.
what I felt people would be willing to buy into, and that's totally possible. So the easy way to do it, which you see frequently in art, is fan art, right? People are like, if you like Overwatch, you like Overwatch titties, and it's like, it's pretty obvious, right? But you can't do a Kickstarter based on Overwatch titties, because that's like a they'll sue you or whatever, and you can't, it's illegal. So what I did is I used the public domain, which gets into Creative Commons, and there's like, the public domain is, it's like the fandoms that are legal to use, which is why Disney has been using them for years, et cetera, et cetera. And the whole, the underlying market psychology of the thing is like, people like us like things like this. And so you have like, people like Alice in Wonderland, people like erotic art, people like graphic novels, people like
find that
indie
intersection.
publishers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then where do I find these people? That's one part of it. But then this new part of the puzzle is like something exciting and interesting. It's like, where do I find these people in multiple economies?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I've got my crypto economies of like Ethereum, EOS, and Hive. And then I've got my fiat economy of like Kickstarter. And then I guess Shopify has this, if I wanted to put an advertisement on Facebook and give them money, I can put spyware on my Shopify site that will record their data and then target ads to them. That's the Facebook pixel.
Yes, the retargeting, Facebook retargeting. Yeah.
Right. That's a thing. And then, so I don't know, I don't want to get into that, but I kind of lost track. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I think it's a natural progression of our conversation we're having. And of course, you come back to, hey, where do we find people in these multiple economies? Well, here's one thing that maybe you've struggled with, maybe you haven't. Yeah, that got chat going. But it's the truth. Facebook retargeting is ridiculously pervasive, ugly pervasive. Yeah. And, in some ways, you're right. It's awesome because it isn't that easy to find somebody who loves death metal and who knits tea cozies and who wants to knit tea cozies with fair trade organic yak wool and then, sell them for cryptocurrency. That is, even though we're in this world that is huge and we are able to connect with people all over the world, finding these things is hard. It doesn't matter what you say. So certainly, I can see how we got here in that these sort of creepy data mining, big data, retargeting strategies exist. I know how we got here. And there is some small value in, obviously, to a consumer, not necessarily to the advertiser, but there's some small value to a consumer to be shown an ad that is super relevant for a thing you actually really want. Like, I'll give you a great example. I don't use Facebook, and I don't really use Twitter outside of what I do for this show. But I did manage to forget to use my sandbox in some of my regular setup the other day, and I was browsing through something, and I was looking up something to do with death metal. And for whatever reason, this fucking Google complex figured out I'm a woman and I like metal. And in the sidebar, I saw an ad for a ring with skulls on it. I swear to God, I had bought it within 3 seconds. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how media literate we are. It doesn't matter how I hate being watched and it's my data and I'm privacy centric and fuck big companies and I hate ads and it's, shiny, it's got skulls. I immediately bought it. Immediately. So, I mean, there's certainly something that's gonna happen. And we've talked about this on the show before. You can buy in 3 seconds with fiat. Yeah, well, it's all imaginary anyways, right, Kodaks? Wait till you get squatty potty ads. Are you saying I'm full of shit? Maybe. But so the reality is that's, I think, the next frontier for Hive is you're doing the work right now. That is, I am boots to the proverbial internet ground. I'm going out. I'm finding different places. Crim confirmed preggers. Don't put that evil on me. Ugh. You're going out there, you're finding these audiences and you're saying, okay, the right tools that I have are something like Kickstarter, where each time I make a campaign, I get people who like it and they join in, and then it markets to people a little bit broader and a little bit broader. And slowly I'm building up that base. I'm pairing it with, the Hive and the ETH ecosystems. I'm matching that up with my own website, my own Spotify. You're doing that work right now. But certainly one thing that really we haven't seen a lot of yet is, okay, we know right now that one of the biggest problems and one of the scariest things, oh, wow, Cly, I mean, accurate, but really inappropriate. One of the things that we've seen is very much that the part that makes people angry is your messaging, your secret sneaking around, and like the creeping that you do. You don't want that to show up. You don't want them to mind that. I mean, everybody knows that you like Nickelback because you clicked like on their Facebook page, and that's public. Fine. But nobody, what you don't want showing up in your ad results is that you spent 3 days rewatching somebody's private, the stories or whatever, or that in a message to somebody across the world that you're catfishing, you wrote about your passionate love for Steve Winwood, and then all of a sudden, all of your Amazon recommendations are Steve. That's the part that people hate. And that's been the real pushback. And the problem is, where is that line? Where is privacy? Where do we match up these abilities to discover audiences and markets and communities and people who need creators and creators who need people with, holy fuck, stay the crap out of the stuff that I don't want you to? With a Hive, there is this potential to, understand and recognize, and everything that you do has a degree of transparency. And one thing that we're not seeing yet is really well-matched send nudes. Here we go. The cavalry has arrived. You can always tell when it's the top of the hour. I haven't said hi to Big Tom yet. Hi, Frankie. All of those good friends who are hanging out here. But the reality comes down to Hive is transparent, and we are actually looking for ways to match things up better. One thing that we're struggling with is we have a fire hose of insane content, from raw data all the way up to beautiful art or music or photography, written content, people who are building up, their communities. And we don't have a great way to match them yet. We're not finding that we're taking advantage of that well. So I think that's going to be something really interesting. And I'm curious to know, obviously we've talked about communities. We love communities, but they're also a little half-baked yet. We've really not seen them used to smashing success yet. Do you think, as we're kind of winding down this top of the hour, do you think that's something like a Hive community that you would be finding a way to kind of enfold into your plan here, making your own? Because that's one thing that you can't really do somewhere else is, Snook says communities are actually making it harder to find things. But I'm thinking sort of when we see people deplatformed, when we see people removed, communities with all their followers, all their likes, all of their content, it's gone. At least here, you have a place that you know you can always get at it. Even if every front end removes it, you can spin up your own, and you've always got it. You never have to start from scratch. Do you think that's something that's going to start playing into your strategy?
Yeah, so I'm my conception of myself is that I'm not that attractive or like charm. I can be sort of charming occasionally, but most of the time I'm not. It's like I gotta cast my charm spell to like make it work, because if I'm not doing that, I'm just like, I can be just like rude or blunt, or just, people are not like, people like follow my work because I'm probably like earnest and try to do a good job. Like that's probably, and probably I'm like innovative, and I think people are interested in that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But I don't I'm not the magnetic sort of person that can actually even emotionally handle like aggregating and interacting with large groups of people.
Mm-hmm.
As I can do it as like a performer, like, hey, I'm doing this thing, here's my work. But as far as like gathering the people to come join me and do cool shit, like they don't want to. They want to like, and I'm okay with that. So I don't see a community like that I will be starting myself because it's not my jam. Like, but I do think that if I had a vision for what communities would do, I would see them as incubators for small projects, because instead of onboarding one person at a time, come on Hive and monetize your passions type thing, you can be onboarding entire audience communities from artists or creatives or curators who actually integrate and understand this sort of stuff and are building larger things. And the communities are where the people are that want to be doing that anyways, even if they don't know it yet. So you've got the notebook community, and they're all into writing their fiction and whatnot, and they're doing their posts on Hive, but it's like, are you publishing novels in genre like specific format with like buff dudes on the cover for the romance section in Kindle? And are you including your Hive link in the back end of this thing, so you can aggregate a readership here, so they can be like on the ground as you're writing the next chapter, experiencing it as it unfolds? Like there are thousands of people, they're devouring like every single variety of like genre fiction on Kindle like now, and all you need to do is make a bridge to an author on Hive that's leveraging the Hive platform in a way that says like, my cool shit is over here on Hive and I'm making my money off of you, Amazon. And then right, and so that's what I'm seeing. And so that's the thing for fiction. And then we've got like music. You can do, I guess I'm not super expert, but you got like SoundCloud and Kickstarter for sure. And then photographies, like you can put books together. I don't know, like art. There's art community. Artists can be copying what I'm doing. I'm making my stuff transparent. I'm also making all of my work Creative Commons. So if people want to like take my shit and then like do something cool with it, they can make some money. All they have to do is link that they got it from me.
Yeah.
It's like
building you up some fat backlinks. Very intelligent.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let me use your network because I'm not fucking like attractive by myself. And so that's like my basic approach.
But
and so
I mean, that is a great approach, because a lot of us are not fabulously self-aware in that regard. And yeah, Frankie, exactly. Get them backlinks. Get them. It's true. Certainly, this is a thing, and it comes all the way back to, we were talking a little bit about project cycles, and this is what I see a lot of for Hive. This is my dream, and so for Link Daddy. This is what I see so much of being important to Hive, because I love Hive the way it is. But I mean, we're always saying, what do we got to change? What do we got to do? What do we got to add? What do we got to... And I mean, I'm going, we can change the core blockchain, or we could just build more cool shit on top of it. And so, here's NFT Showroom. But I mean, for me, we're going to start seeing, I'm hoping very soon, things like zines built off Hive data. Yep. We're going to see things that, have gone the way of the dodo for one reason or the other, being rebirthed as beautiful, shiny phoenixes on Hive. And it could happen, and it should happen, and it needs to happen. Communities are one aspect of it. And so I find it really interesting, because you're saying, hey, I don't know that a community fits with the way that I operate. And that's a very valid take. But I also look at it as, well, if you create a community, rather than thinking about that community as solely, I need to lure more people to post into it, I am always thinking in the back of my head, the possibility and the features of communities and the way that information is stored in the chain could be a way to create really interesting websites with really specifically controlled content that are backed up and pulled from an immutable blockchain. There's probably lots of ways that we could use communities beyond what we traditionally think of as a community. Yes, are they like subreddits? Are they meant to really be a place where people can engage with each other outside of the din of the entire blockchain? Yes. Are they really good at that? Yes. If we brought an entire community from somewhere where they weren't getting the experience that they wanted and transplanted them on Hive, would Hive grow faster? Yes. And yet, I don't know that we're doing enough. And I think project focused and sort of what's a new front end? What's a new way of adding and pulling things from the blockchain? Why does it have to be that you have to look at a community through one of the existing interfaces, and it has to have a community manager who, isn't just in the background, rolling for initiative every 10 minutes just to get enough, zhuzh to answer comments. And that for me is the really exciting part, but it's also the really scary part because we're on that precipice right now. And of course, the new hard fork is coming and we've had 4 years. It's new and exciting and the potential has never been higher because we're really making it so the blockchain is super easy for everyone to use and decentralize. But this is the spirit of Steam and it's been around for 4 years and people don't like that Hive is new, but was old, hasn't done enough, hasn't been exciting enough, doesn't have that wow factor. And we're caught in the middle right now in that we have to build new things. And it doesn't mean at the blockchain level. And so this to me is, where do you find your community? Where do you find your markets? You have to bring the eyes with you. And right now, we're so backwards. And actually, I'm seeing this in chat now. Enjar is saying the same thing. What you're saying is the absolute truth. Eyeballs don't necessarily exist on Hive. And if they do, you'll find them pretty fucking quick. That's the beauty of having, like 10,000 people that are active on a daily basis. They're going to find you. But then you've got them. And that's it. And until we start saying, we know those people are out there, we need to bring them to us, I feel like we're in a weird space right now. And so I think, having you saying, I am a creative, I am a creator, I would like to monetize, I would like to provide and extract value. I want to do that in the Hive ecosystem and I want to keep growing. And having that openness to saying, let me use these things that everybody fucking poo-poos and let me tie them into that process, into that journey, into the way I think matters. And I think it's probably something that hopefully we can get more people kind of jazzed about.
I think that they'll be more jazzed about it if they can make a living doing what it is they love to do, because that's the message behind Hive. But in order to make that the reality, you need a larger business vision for your resource acquisition and for your audience than just Hive. That would be and so I would encourage people to do try a quick starter project, see what it feels like for you. Even if you fail, it's cool. It was just an experiment. That's the sort of attitude that I want people to try out.
Yeah. And you're right. Hive is, arguably I'm going to dip my toe into a scary topic and then I think we're going to kind of wrap it up because I've only got half an hour left in the show. I do want to touch on some hard fork stuff, but it's been that great talking to you. I'm hoping people are gaining some value from this. Hey, Leonis, thanks for joining us. Whoever else I haven't said hi to because I'm a shitty ass DJ. But you're right. Everybody that's here who is creating, they're either forced into creating because they want to earn, or they love creating and are hoping to earn. And either of those things still results in what you're talking about. I need to earn for one way or the other. And I want to do something to do that. Here's Hive. Let's ramp this shit up. But so yeah, just before we kind of move on from this whole discussion, there are a couple things I want to touch on. One is you gotta shill your Alice project. That's one. Two, apparently, please send money to your Kickstarter because I'm Snook. Absolutely. And three would be, I'm going to release this recording, but I'm hoping that potentially you look at kind of voicing a little bit more in depth of some of our conversation today into a post, because I would love to share it around, because I think there are a lot of people who they know they can do it somehow, but the actual sort of method from somebody who is willing to take the chance is a little bit different. And one thing I will say, and I'll get your opinion on, is Hive is, I'm going to say it and everybody's going to lose their fucking shit. Sometimes making a mistake on Hive can be very detrimental. It can't hurt you. You can't lose your account. No one can take anything from you. They can't even force you to go away. But small, tight community, easy to get eyeballs, also a little easy to draw ire. So, do you think, just sort of in your experience, can you make a mistake on Hive with something like this? And can you recover from it on Hive? And I know everybody's going to lose their fucking shit, but it's the truth. It's a question I have to ask. And I have an example in my back pocket to actually say, yes, you can. But for now, I just want your opinion. And now everybody's going, I hear if you die on Hive, you die IRL. It's true. There's a swarm. There's the bees. Do you think you can make a mistake on Hive and bounce back from it and have these quick little experiments? If they fail, what do you think Hive embraces that culturally? Because technologically it does.
Yeah, I think that just like I can draw a direct line between the experimentation happening on NFT showroom and the sort of experimentation that's encouraged on the Kickstarter platform that actually trains you to like operate in a project-based cycle. It's that same mindset. As far as like getting canceled on Hive or something, like or even getting trolled. Getting trolled sucks, but like, and having people reject you sucks. And then man, I'm so fucking desensitized to like what is normal because I make like sex comics all the time. So like I just say inappropriate shit to people. Like damn.
Okay.
It's like, yeah. So what I'm saying is like, and plus it's like hot. It's like is when you're on like Kickstarter and you're sending your stuff out to people, like some people are gonna hate it and they're gonna let you know, and it's gonna be like just the most unpleasant people on Reddit or whatever.
Yep.
So my conclusion is like, grow a thicker skin and deal with like the fucking
internet.
Yeah, deal with it. Like, and then if you can do that, there's a certain kind of internal thing, like, oh yeah, I just spent like 8 months doing this fucking project, and you spent like 30 seconds writing this little shitty remark. Like, I'm actually okay with that. Like, thanks for sharing your opinion. And then you just kind of move on. Like, and then it also like financially, if you're more financially independent because you're building something up for yourself that's larger, then if you get like what if a person who has a lot of HP doesn't like what I do or whatever, but it's like, okay, I'm still responsible for treating you well, and I'm still responsible for not being a dick, and like, but if you don't want to vote for my posts or whatever, then like that's fine, because I should be seeking my resources like on a broader net anyways. And if you get really canceled on Hive, maybe it's because you deserved it because you're being a shitty person. Like,
I mean, everything that you're saying is so true, and I can tell it's because you've lived it. You seen some shit. You draw vaginas on the internet. You seen it. You experienced it. You did it. You bought the t-shirt. Yeah. And you're right. It's quite interesting. And I think one thing that certainly does make a difference is when we think of Hive solely as blogging, then we start going, it's canceling, it's bullying, it's having a thin skin, whatever the case may be. We think of that in a very sort of, look at Clay. Clay's going, who hasn't drawn a little vagina on the internet? Honestly. And speaking of, hello, Corbin. I hope you had a fabulous camping trip. I'm glad to see you. So kind of coming around, we think of Hive as only blogging. So if you make a mistake blogging, ooh, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough. Oh, you're never going to recover. And oh, the internet is mean. And there's an aspect of truth to it. But when we come back to the idea of a project, oh, fuck, somebody just, Frankie just leveled up. So in the meantime, let me do this. But when we think of this as a project cycle, all of a sudden it's less about getting canceled. It's I tried an action, and that action, because of maybe poor planning or poor circumstances, didn't work. It's different than I wrote a post and people disagree with my opinion and they hate my face. There's a really different divide there. Even though they're on the same platform, they're the same community, I think you make a good distinction. Experimenting with, here's what I'm building, here's a project, here's how I'm using NFT Showroom, here's how I'm going to test out Dappler, I'm going to make a proposal. All of those things, if you fail at them, it's not quite the same. When we think of Hive only as blogging, then it's somebody trolled me, I got a downvote, I want a cookie, she hit my bear. Yeah. This is a Hook reference because I'm a nerd. So let me take this shot, and we'll kind of wrap her up because I realize, holy shit, we're definitely coming down. But what a fabulous way of looking at it, and certainly it comes from life experience. But I will say one person, and each and every one of you know them, is Hero, Hiro. This guy got to Hive. And his brilliant fucking idea was, I'm going to share my passion. And his passion was the bitty baby Jesus. He wanted to share the love of Jesus in the Bible with everybody. Great. Cool. Started off real high. And then it turned into, I'm going to build a bot and I'm going to spam every single human on the blockchain with Bible bullshit.
Yeah, I remember
and that's where things went off the cliff. So poor Hero could not understand. I bought my stake. I powered my stake up. I coded a bot. I let everybody bask in the light of Jesus. And, you guys have been, and then upvoted itself to make sure that you could see it. I'm going to earn a little bit. I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to tell you guys all about how much God loves you. And all of this was valid. Now, I bring this up because I'm not actually making fun of Hero. Hero committed what could possibly be the worst thing ever. The entire community hated him. You're pushing your religion on me, and you're also spamming the blockchain, and you're self-voting. He did every single thing that everyone on the blockchain hates. Now, normally we say, okay, he got about as canceled as you can cancel. His account got nuked. He got flagged into oblivion. He got on every blacklist there ever was. Like, if there was anybody who was canceled on Hive, it was Hero. And then he kind of was like, well, damn, that didn't work at all. So he just made a new account, said, guys, sorry about it, and stopped and started again. And now he's like got one of the greatest marketing, pump up, I love Hive, let's have fun, make friends, do good accounts out there. Like,
I saw him on Twitter.
Buh? So attitude matters. Maybe, just maybe, we have to stop looking at it as so personal, like you say. And that's hard. Anything transparent, anything, they're saying we didn't permanently cancel, and that's why. But certainly, I think that's a great example. You can bounce back from a mistake, and you should experiment. How resilient you are is going to be an aspect of it, for sure, because it's proven that the community maybe isn't as shitty as we always act, and individuals aren't as shitty as they always act. It's a balancing act. So I'm going to take this shot. I'm going to give you a little minute here. Please talk a little bit about Alice. Please kind of sum up who you are and what you're doing, because then I'm going to have to throw you out of here because we only got like 20 minutes left to talk about the hard fork. So I'm going to just have to pick you up and just you out of the chat like an asshole.
Cool. I'm going to spam the Hive network with 85 to 86 posts because I'm doing one post for each page of Alice and one NFT for each page of Alice. But instead of spamming, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with 85 or 86 different ways that you can make money off of my project through the Creative Commons license. And I will demonstrate them like recipes that prompt specific communities of people and or specific people themselves to take my project, take action, do some cool shit, try a new thing, make some money, give me a link, it's all cool. And that way people will, they won't be upset at me for posting the same shit over and over again, but I'm going to be aggressively posting like until this is done. And then I'm going to move on from Alice and maybe do a little bit of like, well, what just happened here over the last like 8 months? Like I tried something I'd never tried before. I did some experimental like business structures that I've never seen attempted, and it's just go give me 200 Hive. You can have a NFT, you can resell it. It's intentionally low so you can make some money. I'm giving you a PDF and a PSD file. The PSD file is
That's
like
wild.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it you can do whatever you want with that artwork. You can translate it into Russian. I don't speak Russian. You can print out 100 copies in Russian and sell them, like whatever.
I like this. This. Not that you're here for just my approval, but I'm putting my stamp of approval on it while you're talking.
Yeah, it's a commons. It's a cool idea, and then and also because I'm doing this print run, because it's a graphic novel, because I already have 40 copies sold from the Kickstarter, I'm going to be including the option for people who are interested in it. If you buy one of the NFTs and it's within the next like 7 days or something, like, hey, buy my shit, then like if you want me to send you a graphic novel in the mail, I gave you my email address. You can send me your address. I'll send you a graphic novel. You can be one of the people that gets a physical copy. It's cool.
That's rad.
Yeah, and so the whole thing is
five.
like, it's just an experiment, and I'm doing. And thanks for talking and being into this, because I've been ranting about this stuff for a while, and it's cool that you were into that whole experimental marketing thing with the mayonnaise, and that we could talk about this stuff, because
I have more to bring up about that. Oh my gosh, you just reminded me. Thank you. But that's it. And so I love talking to people like you because you're all over the blockchain. You're all here. I see a bunch of you in your little floaty avatar heads, but we don't put it out there. We don't really talk about it, and we don't really experiment with it. And there's something so fabulous about the idea of, hey, I'm here to make some money. I'm here to extract value. I'm here to have so much fun, but I'm going to do it in a way that maybe you're going to make some money, or I challenge you, or whatever. It's still kind of building community, and there's something more to it that really comes from thinking creatively. And I'm stoked on that. So good luck. I'm very excited. If you want to drop some art in chat, you can. Vagina warning to anybody who's in the Discord, but I'm not going to lie. It's good fun. And I did record this. We're going out all over the place. There's actually quite a few people who are attending in all of the places that I can see right now. So this has been great fun. I will be putting it out there so more people can kind of hear your vision and some of your plans. And I keep hoping that you do a follow-up post. You do. But with that, thank you. You're at Root Draws, right? On Hive?
Yep.
Perfect. You can drop a link. And I think you're also at Root Draws on Twitter and some of the other places that shall not be named. So people can find you. And we got only 15 minutes left to talk about some hard fork stuff. So I am going to lovingly pick you up and huck you out of chat after you say goodbye.
Goodbye, Krim. I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. And with love. All right, he's gone. So people are asking, did I just refer to Ned as a vagina? You know what? Honestly, pussies are built to take a pounding. And if there's one thing Ned can't do, it's that. So he wishes he could be as tough as a vagina. Now, with all that being said, Yeah, that's right. There goes Root Draws flying through the air like a monster. Fabulous. I'm really excited. What a great talk that was. So 15 minutes left in the show. My name is Crimson Cloud. This is Cyberbuzz. I do this every week. We hang out. We talk a little bit about what's going on around the blockchain, disruptive tech, the, retro future. Normally I play synthwave. There's probably some people who tuned in waiting for music and they're like, it's been 2 fucking hours and this bitch never shuts up. But we got things to talk about. So with all that and all that fun shit talking about NFT showroom, about creativity, about, pushing your boundaries, marketing intelligently, going outside of Hive because you need to get money and you need to eat and you need to build a really robust and intelligent business around what you love. This is all very important. So Root Draws has carried us through some great topics already. What we got to do for the last little bit is we want to answer some questions, talk a little bit about the hard fork because it is probably coming. Tom has said he enjoyed the music today, you sassy motherfucker. But what I do want to touch on is, so there's 3 things, because Corbin's back as well. 3 things that we need to talk about. Numero uno, we are going to do another newbie night and it's going to be on Tuesday. So Tuesday newbie night is happening. I will be updating the post probably a little later, hopefully today, tomorrow at the latest. So newbie night on Tuesday. If you have anybody who wants to ask really basic, chill blockchain questions, this is not a show. And people were worried last time. They showed up and were like, ugh, it's not a show. Right there, boom. So you got to come. On Tuesday, I'm going to make a post. It's going to have a countdown on it. It's going to be pinned on my Hive profile. Newbie night. Just things that you couldn't ask. Nobody's answered. You're not sure about. We all get, the nerbs. Oh my God, the nerbs. We all get our beers. We hang out. It's super chill. And we just all talk in voice. Everybody is unmuted. We ask questions. We answer each other. Super newbie night. Please pass that on to anybody you know who has questions about Hive that they just don't feel like they've been answered. That's number 1. Tuesday, coming up. Will there be a post? Yes, there will be. Njar, I'm going to edit the previous post so you don't get to vote. I want it so that people can bookmark it and they can come back and there'll always be a countdown to a new newbie night. That's the idea. That's the goal. Also, then you won't be able to vote on it because I don't need more rewards for that. So, number 1, newbie night. Number 2, talking about those GIFs. I am going to put together a GIF contest because we have people like Tracy and others out there who are fucking killing the animated GIF game. But like we talked about last week's show, we're not using it the best we can. And I saw, again, for those of you who may have missed it, when I was typing in retro future on Twitter, a GIF for the goddamn Digibyte blockchain came up. It was like, be your own bank, Digibyte. And it was like this cool retro future Blade Runner kind of art. Think about it. What is cyberpunk and dystopian if not be your own bank, use technology, blockchains, wah! That's fucking cool. They match the aesthetic to their branding, to their marketing. They made a GIF, they put it on Twitter, and I found it from not looking for blockchain at all. Fucking brilliant. Now on Thursday night, I was looking for a heavy metal gift, right? I was looking for a heavy metal gift, and it came up again. Digibyte blockchain, cool, big logo font, all on fire, metal. I found it again. So God damn it, this is a thing we can do. We just need a little bit more focus. That's going to be number 2. Going to try and get that competition going and kind of coordinate that because we got the creativity. We got the looks. We got the idea. Let's fucking take over. Number 3 is I was laughing so hard because I thought all of you, good night, Fox. I was laughing so hard because I was thinking about the Mayo Animal Crossing island. Now, the reality is I still have Animal Crossing, just right here, off screen. I mean, I'm playing all the time. Here's my Animal Crossing, and something else came up. I saw an article, I think it was in The Verge, about Animal Crossing. And in Japan, IKEA made their entire fucking catalog themed with Animal Crossing, because in this game you're putting stuff in your house and you're designing your rooms and you're sharing comfortable spaces and experiences with friends. And here's IKEA in Japan on the front of their catalog, like they are showcasing Animal Crossing. They're trying to get this sort of idea of, well, you love decorating your house. You love comfy furniture. You love spaces to live in and spend time in. Well, that's what we do here at IKEA. So, check out our, new catalog. And it's like, holy fucking shit. How absolutely brilliant is that? So there are absolutely alternative marketing schemes out there. Sorry, I'm looking down off the camera because I was going to show you guys. I don't know if you can see this. Here's, look. There's me. I don't think it's focusing. I don't know if it's focusing, and I don't know if you care. But so, there. There's my little house. There you go. One of my neighbors is wandering in like a little shit. But I mean, the reality is this exists. And all of us that are doing this, there's crossover. There's marketing opportunities. They're there. They're free. They're intelligent. We can figure this out. So, NJAR, you should absolutely vote up closed posts. Authors love to see it. It feels good. It's nice to let people know they're being read after time, and they don't hurt your voting mana, your voting power, or anything like that at all. So no harm, no foul. If it's already past payout, vote that sucker up if you like it. Now, that's our 3 things. It is the last 10 minutes of the show. We've had so much fun, or at least I hope you have. There's lots of you guys watching on all sorts of different platforms. And we even got trolled. We got raided and trolled by an asshole today. That was exciting. So, last 10 minutes of the show, let's talk a little bit about Hard Fork 24 Eclipse. We finally got the post out. I'm not saying that I have been a little frustrated and have been really pushing for it. There's lots going on. And it's been really, you nuked him, Cly. It's been really tricky because the wait was necessary, but it's very frustrating because we want to be able to communicate these things. We want to have a plan. We want to get it together. We want to, move on this. We've torn down the base sort of layer of the blockchain. And even though it doesn't do anything that much different, it's so ready for the next step. This is a really important hard fork. And it's dumb because even in saying, oh my God, it's so exciting, it's so different, we so need it, it's not going to change anything visually or sort of the feel other than being faster. It's not going to change anything. So most people are going to be like, fucking nerds. This is a nerd update. This is only for nerds. But the reality is we've got that trickle-down effect like we talked about before. And it's not a trickle-down economic effect. It's a trickle-down if the base block, I guess trickle up then. If the base blockchain is better, then applications built on the blockchain are better. And projects utilizing the blockchain are better. It's faster and it's smarter and it's easier to use. And to spin up a project costs less, which means all of the things that an end user wants are better, easier, faster, stronger. You need a hard fork with marketing updates, but the reality is the marketing can't be done until the hard fork's ready to go, Frankie. And that's a tricky thing. And one of the problems with having a decentralized team is that you can't have the main account going rogue and representing only one person, or there has to be sort of, here's what's finalized, here's what's out there, now we take it and we market it. And there has to be people in the community that step up to do that. So it's a balancing act that is, we're not doing a great job with yet, but also everybody's got to step up. So with that being said, let us discuss in the last 5 minutes or so, 7 minutes or so, do you guys have any questions or comments that you want to talk about with the upcoming hard fork? Is there anything you don't understand yet? Is there anything you want clarification on? What's in your mind now that you know the hard fork is happening? Now that, yes, Hive Twitter has become a monster, and I'm sort of hoping that the GIF contest and some of the other things like Newbie Night will play into maybe helping it be a little more effective, maybe? Question mark? But otherwise, do you guys have anything to do with the hard fork that you want to bring up in the last sort of little bit of this show? Is there anything that I can clarify or help with that you want to know about in terms of the hard fork itself? Hive Twitter, Stella did just put out a great little video about being more effective on Twitter if you're looking for some help, because Lord knows I fucking suck at Twitter. I hate it. I just go on just to do this sort of thing. But he'll save all your questions for newbie night. Perfect. So for the rest of you, is there anything that you want to question, comment, yell about for Hard Fork 24 Eclipse? The date, should nothing catastrophic happen, will be September 8th, 2020. That's very exciting. And there is the small potential that it could change, but in the next couple days, we'll know if that's the case or not. It's a potential, but it's unlikely at this point. So I will, everybody's still talking about Twitter. Yeah, I mean, it's tough because we have really passionate people who are really focused on making the word hive trend. But at the same time, sometimes we have to realize that if hive is trending and then they click on it, and then they look at the tweet and they don't understand, they'll be like, well, that's dumb, and they'll never look at it again, and your time on trending was wasted. So let's just see here. His dudeness, I do not know what the fork does. Great. You can educate yourself really easily. Go to the @Hive.io account. There is a point form list of all of the changes in the hard fork and what they do. It's very simple. It's very short. And it's just like, okay, let me double check. Is there anything in here that I can see that causes me concern? No. So if you're wanting to know what the hard fork does, but you don't want to invest a lot of time, go to the newest post, search for TLDR, and it'll jump you directly to what the hard fork does. And you don't have to read about anything else. You can just actually, too long, didn't read what's in this hard fork right there. So no worries about that. But for definitely, I have seen, and we talked about this a little bit last week, I've seen a lot of people who are really panicked, and they're really concerned. And they're often, remember we talked about filling in the narrative, how sometimes you just assume people are talking without you in places that you have no access to. And that sort of paranoia leads you to think the worst is happening. Now, there's precedent for that around the blockchain. There's some precedent, but it's really fascinating in that I think a lot of people don't recognize that most of the discussion, while they are, Cly, I mean, I would argue, I've seen you, especially Cly, I'm going to call you out here. I'm going to call you out because I'm certainly critical and not critical, depending on the way things are. I have seen you use specifically the term, the Hive Bilderbergs. Tell me who that is, and tell me which decision it is that you feel has been so hidden from people specifically to harm them. And I ask this like very, very valuably, because if you do believe that's the truth, why are we not outing it and calling against it? Now, the truth around it is that where a lot of people see this happening is that Hive, the actual hard fork away from Steam, was created in secret, and it's the absolute goddamn truth. And we talked a little bit last week. No, I'm not canceling Cly. I think this is really important, but I think he uses really loaded language and doesn't always describe what he's talking about, and we're stuck in that point of, well, I don't know, so I'm going to fill in the blanks, and that's the part that hurts us. And so they're going, it all happened in secret, but the argument is actually, here's 3 places on the chain in the secret Slack. So here's the deal. You're calling it secret Slack again, but anybody can be in this Slack. And this is the part that's really difficult. The top 10 stakeholders. Are you talking about witnesses? Are you talking about stakeholders? You're still dancing around and you're using really, really vague terminology. And this is where, if we're going to talk transparently and we're going to challenge things, you got to start saying, this is the problem. Now, the other thing is, the secret Slack is a holdover from Steam days. And the problem with that is that it wasn't so much secret, but that Ned controlled invites. Part of it is because Ned hated everyone that challenged him. I'm not sure how the fuck I can make that any clearer. Well, yeah, you can. Who are even the top 10 stakeholders? Are you just saying anybody with too much money, or are you specifically referring to people? And the stakeholders at the same time, there are some stakeholders who are also witnesses if you're going solely by Hive amounts. If you're just saying they have too much money. you're reading into that because Janie was a dumb fuck. I can't see Janie's post, so I'm not actually reading into that. Where I'm going with this is the secret Slack thing that comes up a lot is Ned controlled it because he hated people. Ned controlled it because it cost them a fuckload of money. And the people that were in there were a lot of Steam It yes men because they desperately wanted Ned's votes. So it's tough because it was a secret Slack. And then it became a Hive secret Slack to launch Hive so that Justin didn't know about it. And then it became, well, the only thing that happens in Slack day today is Marky Mark drops pictures of Ned faces on GIFs. And, and people, yeah, it's, what can I say? In any case, all right, I am going to continue on. This show is over. I've run out of time. I will see you guys on newbie night, and we'll get there. We'll get there. Still not naming names. I'm Crimson Clad. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.